In this video, we're going to look at the SUMIF function in Excel. The SUMIF function is used to add up numbers that meet a specific condition. So in the simplest way, in this example, the SUMIF function helps you add only the numbers that match a rule. If you have a list of pen sales, you could use the SUMIF to add all the sales where the pen is blue, or where all the sales are ballpoint pens. The easiest way to learn to use a SUMIF is with practice. So let's jump into this example we've got here. So we've been asked to provide the total number of sales for all blue pens from the range of data we've got here. Let's start by typing equals into Excel, which lets Excel know that we would like to start using a formula or function. Obviously, we know that we're working on the SUMIF, so all we need to do is type the word SUMIF. Once we've done this, we have now three options of moving forward. So I'm going to talk you through all three, so a better understanding of how to do the functions and how to activate them if you know all possible ways. So the first way, once we've typed SUMIF, we can click on the SUMIF from the drop down of the IntelliSense here, and that will tell Excel you're ready to start the formula. That's option number one. Option number two, once you've typed the word SUMIF, you can press Shift and 9 to activate the open bracket, and that also tells Excel you are ready to start. The final way is type SUMIF and press the Tab key, and that is the final way to use the starting point for this function. So now we've learned all three ways to activate the formula. Let's jump into the next step. SUMIF requires three bits of information from us. Number one, the range. Number two, the criteria. Number three, the sum range. We're going to start with number one. The range are the cells you would like to evaluate against the criteria. The criteria we have is the colour blue. We're going to select column B from B2 to B21. To move on to the second part, we need to press the comma to move on to the criteria selection. Now we're going to select the cell H5, which has the word blue. We're then going to press the comma to move on to the final part, which is part 3, which is the sum range. We're going to select from D2 to D21. At this point, what we need to also make sure of is the range of cells that we've selected for the part 1 and part 3 are identical. What does that mean, identical? So if we look at part 1 and part 3, we can see part 1 in the blue has started at B2 to B21. And part 3, the sum range, has gone from D2 to D21. Identical means that the row number 2 has started at 2 and ended at 21. They're both the same. If these differ, you will cause problems with your formula. So just to close this off, we need to press Shift and 0, the closing bracket, and press Enter. And there we are. We have completed our first SUMIF formula. So let's just go back over this. What I'm going to do is go back into the cell. I'm going to press F2. I'm going to reactivate the formula so we can just talk this back over. Let's have a look. So I'm going to click back into the formula. I'm going to click at the blue section. Once I've done that, the IntelliSense in Excel is telling us I've clicked on the range section. If I click over the red cell, it says I'm in the criteria. If we click at the purple, I'm on the sum range. So the first section, the range, which are the cells we want to evaluate. So in this, we can see a series of colours of pens, black, blue, green, purple and red. We'd like to add up all the colours that relate to blue, and that's how we've indicated in our criteria, which is H5. H5 has got the cell with the word in blue. Finally, the sum range, which we can select here, is the purple font, is going from D2 to D21, which is the sum range. As long as we follow this format, this will continue to work for us. So let's have a look at a different way that we can run this formula or function, and using a different criteria option. We're going to press equals to tell Excel we're going to start a formula or a function. We're going to type the word SUMIF. We're going to press Shift and 9 to open the bracket. This time we're going to select the range and we're going to look at the pen type. So we're going to select from A2 all the way to A21. We're then going to press the comma. We're going to, this time, we're going to do something different. We're going to use a sum based on a word. So when we want to type a word in Excel, we need to start with the open speech with Shift and 2, we're going to write the word ballpoint. And once we've finished, we're going to press Shift and 2 again to close that off with a speech mark. We're then going to press the comma to move on to the final part, which is the sum range. We're going to select from D2 all the way to D21, making sure that all our numbers are going from 2 to 21 in the first part, and the third part are identical. Once we've done that, we can press Shift and 0 to close that off with a bracket, press enter. In example number 3, we need to add up the total sales for all pens priced under £1. So we're going to use the same SUMIF function. So let's start typing that out. Equals, we'll write SUMIF. Let's open the bracket with Shift and 9. This time we're going to select the range of the sell price. To select from C2 all the way to C21. We're going to press comma. And now to do less than, what we need to do is open the speech marks. We're going to press Shift and comma to do the less than. We're going to type number 1 to symbol a pound. We're then going to close that off with a speech mark and then back to the comma. Finally, we're on part 3, which is the sum range. To select from D2 all the way to D21. Let's close that off with a Shift and 0 and press enter. And there you go. That's the third option. So we've now gone through 3 different examples. Example number 1, we calculated the total sales for blue pens by using a criteria option of a cell or a cell-based reference. Example number 2, we totaled all the sales for ballpoint pens. In that option, we used a criteria option based on a word. And the final example, example number 3, we calculated the total sales for all pens priced under £1. And in that, we actually use a less than pound. So you've got the option with the less than, you can also use greater than, and there's the 3 really good examples. These examples are all based on running formulas of SUMIF down a column. These 3 examples are really good to use on a static range of data that doesn't move. You don't need to copy the formulas down, and this is really good to practice with. So we can look in the next part, we can look at doing a SUMIF running across a row. And let's see what we've got there. The same format as going down a column. We still have the 3 parts of information we need to give to Excel to make the function work. We are going to start by typing equals. Let's add the word SUMIF. A Shift and 9 to open the bracket. Now we need to add in the sum range. What we need to do in this example is to add the total volume of production and just return the value related to production line 1. So first you need to start with the range, which is row 33. So we're going to go from row 33, B33, all the way to I33. And then we're going to select the comma. And then in this example, we're going to type 1 because we're looking at production line 1. We're then going to type the comma, move on to the sum range. We're going to go down to row 39. We're going to go from B39 all the way to I39. And we're going to close that with a bracket, Shift and 9, and press enter. And SUMIF has returned the formula for us. Let's jump back in and press F2 and see what's happening there. So we started with part 1, where we've indicated to Excel that we want to look in the range, which is from B33 to I33. And then in the second part, we'd like to return all production line number 1s, and we'd like to total up the total line for all production. And there you go, that's the same format as we've run in the previous 3 examples, but going across a row. So there's some things to think about when you're using a SUMIF. If you start thinking about copying down your formulas or dragging them down, this will cause complications, because within the formula we need to keep part 1 and part 3 identical. All these examples, these data, we've just used one returning cell. We've not looked to copy the formula down, duplicate it, or use it somewhere else. If you would like to make this formula a little bit more complex and start thinking about multiple SUMIFs by dragging the formula down, there are other complexities you need to think about, like locking your cells, locking your rows, or locking your columns. Check out my next video, which I'll be discussing about how to lock cells, lock rows, and lock columns when you are typing the formulas, to save you from having any problems when you are copying a formula down, such as SUMIF. I hope you've enjoyed this video. and I'll see you in the next one.